What's up, YouTube? What's up, fellow fantasy people? And of course, what is up, the Catch fam? Man, you already know what time it is. We are here to roll right into another mock draft. So I've got a 12-man league PPR scoring format, and I'm selecting with the 11th overall pick. So I want to do something a little unorthodox here, at least for most of the strategies that I follow in my mock drafts. And I'm going to go and target Travis Kelce and Patty Mahomes. I know you guys have seen me do this a couple times in like 8-man leagues and whatnot, but I just want to see if I can go in and get these guys because, granted, Travis Kelce could definitely be selected before I pick 11th overall, and it is possible that Patrick Mahomes could slip to 35, but nonetheless, I want to see what happens if I go out and I get Travis Kelce with that 11th overall selection, and then I target Patrick Mahomes with the 14th overall pick, because I just want to see what happens if we go out and we get arguably the two best offensive players in the entire leagues at their respective positions. What will the rest of our roster look like, right? So nonetheless, if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and smash that like button. Go ahead and subscribe, man. I know what you guys are waiting for. We have a ton of viewers not subscribed to the channel. We appreciate all that support. If you guys do choose to go ahead and subscribe, and nonetheless drop some comments down below on if you guys are targeting any of these Chiefs players early on in your draft. So with these first three selections, we've seen Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, and Ezekiel Elliott off the board. I think we're going to see Alvin Kamara really move up to about that number 2, number 3, average selection with, the news of Jameis Winston being named the starting quarterback in that New Orleans offense. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, Kamara was already going around pick 3 in a lot of mock drafts, although on average he was ranked closer to 5, maybe 4, 6, depending on where you look, right? So don't be surprised if you're seeing Kamara start to be selected a lot sooner, not really a lot sooner, but a couple picks sooner than he had been going. But nonetheless, these are your top 6 guys, top 6 running backs: Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, Zeke, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, and Christian McCaffrey. And then you'll probably see either that of Aaron Jones and or Saquon Barkley drafted after them. But here we're seeing Jonathan Taylor and now Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones sitting here at pick 10. I can tell you, and he did not get selected. Austin Eckler got selected. So if I was not going for this Chiefs strategy, I would definitely pick Aaron Jones here at pick 11. And don't get me wrong, Tyreek Hill has looked amazing in preseason. So there's our selection of Travis Kelce. And you could certainly try this draft with selecting Tyreek Hill here. But nonetheless, I think there's going to be so much more overall depth at the receiver position that I'm okay with targeting Travis Kelce, who there's no one else like him at the tight end position, and then targeting Patrick Mahomes, who there's no one else like him at the quarterback position. And our guy James got a great start to his draft here with the selection of Aaron Jones and Tyreek Hill. So good for him. So Stephon Diggs sitting here, D-Hop, Calvin Ridley, a lot of good guys, a lot of good running backs, any tight end that we would want other than Travis Kelce. But nonetheless, we're doing it. Let's go out and let's go with the double Chiefs stack and that of Patty Mahomes and Travis Kelce. So this is going to be the interesting part of this draft, right? Or at least this draft method, draft strategy, right? Is what running backs can we turn around and select with, here in round 3 and round 4 with the 35th and 38th selection? Because here's kind of the deal if you were to do this in a 12-man league, right? Your QB is solidified and your tight end is solidified completely, right? We don't need to worry about the quarterback or tight end position for the rest of this draft. If we want some more depth, if we're worried about their bye week at week 12, then we can go out and get with our last 2 picks a tight end and a quarterback of some value, right? But nonetheless, the running backs that we need to turn around and get are going to be pretty vital to the lifeline of this team. And then the receivers, we're probably going to have to wait. So this is kind of interesting part, is who are we going to end up with and who are we going to help fill those voids. But we have now seen here in the second round DK Metcalf, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon Diggs, and Antonio Gibson all off the board. So a lot of good talent wiped out there in the second round. So let's go ahead and pull up the running backs. The guys that I would love to have here would be David Montgomery as well as James Robinson. How likely I think that is not very likely. So the next kind of tier we need to look at is that of Josh Jacobs. And I would argue probably Darrell Henderson or Damian Harris. Damian Harris, someone who's absolutely shot up with his ADP, with that Sony Michel trade. But if you're asking me, it didn't really change a lot of my view on Damian Harris. But nonetheless, we've seen some crazy slip. I mean, Najee Harris going 21st overall in this mock draft, followed by Darren Waller and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Man, if you guys watched that Chiefs preseason game against the Vikings, Jared McKinnon looked very good for the Chiefs. And we don't really fully know the full extent of this injury to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So I don't know, man. I would be pretty hesitant to go out and get Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think he's kind of become the big question mark around the second to third round of these mock drafts and everything leading up to actual fantasy drafts. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a big question mark for me right now, as we've seen our second quarterback and that of Josh Allen off the board. So keep in mind, one advantage to potentially going out and drafting a quarterback in the first round of your fantasy league is you've started the panic at the quarterback position so early on that the potential run for quarterbacks could happen at any given point in time. And you're the other side is that you could just see quarterbacks sprinkled in until you select again. So nonetheless, you kind of give yourself the advantage of being able to go out and get two running backs that you really like in the third and fourth round, or potentially getting a running back and a receiver that you like in the third and fourth round, because there's going to be more quarterbacks selected in between then. And then with going out and getting Travis Kelce as well we got Travis Kelce in the first round, Patrick Mahomes in the second round, excuse me. But nonetheless, you're going to see more tight ends and more quarterbacks being selected is the point that I'm trying to make. And it kind of potentially allows for some of these running backs and receivers to potentially slide. So we have 3 more selections until we pick. Our top target is absolutely that of David Montgomery, and then I would say James Robinson is our next target. I think it's very unlikely, as David Montgomery gets selected, that both of these guys are going to fall to us, and this is going to be a difficult difficult decision, if James Robinson gets selected, because then we know we can probably target that of Josh Jacobs, and then but James Robinson did not get selected, right? But the other kind of choice we would have to make is to be looking at some of these receivers, because there's a lot of really good receivers available right now. But nonetheless, let's go out and let's pick up James Robinson, and then we're going to go ahead and target that of Josh Jacobs here at the running back position. You could bring Miles Sanders into this conversation, or DeAndre Swift. And then, there's a lot of very lethal wide receiver number ones that we could go out and get here. But that is going to be the biggest disadvantage to this roster within this strategy as we go ahead and pick up that of Josh Jacobs, is that we are going to have the least flashy names at the wide receiver position. But I'm telling you, there are some very, very good wide receivers that we are going to be able to go out and target a bit later on. But nonetheless, we need to kind of build up the overall skill position players on this roster at the running back as well as wide receiver areas. And I think we have the beauty of this strategy, I guess, is we have the rest of this draft to just load up at those positions. We don't need to worry about the quarterback, and we don't need to worry about the tight end. So while we might have less flashy names on the board, I think we're going to end up with a pretty good roster. So nonetheless, let's get back to kind of observing this mock draft overall. So we've got Chase Claypool, Miles Sanders, Chris Godwin, DJ Moore, Amari Cooper, and Tyler Lockett, all off the board. So a lot of good talent once again. We don't select until 14 more selections, so pick 59 and pick 62, it looks like. So I think we can still target a pretty good running back overall with one of those selections. I think a guy like Javonte Williams or a Myles Gaskin or even a Kareem Hunt or Mike Davis might fall to us, and those would all be very good additions to this roster. And then we definitely want to go and target my guy Ronald Jones a little bit later in this draft at the wide receiver position. I'm telling you, man, it's not going to be as pretty, but we're going to be able to go out and get guys like Robbie Anderson or Jerry Jeudy who have very easy strength of schedules overall. We can target a guy like Antonio Brown. I mean, this strategy overall is going to work a lot better in a PPR scoring format, but nonetheless, even if you're playing in a standard scoring format, you're giving yourself that surefire power at the quarterback and tight end position. So we will just kind of have to monitor things as the rest of this mock draft continues. We now see Robert Woods, DeAndre Swift, Brandon Ayuk, and Kyle Pitts here taken in the 4th round. Julio Jones still sitting here. Adam Thielen just got selected. He is not sitting there. Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray are still sitting here, 2 very good quarterbacks. We've got Mark Andrews, who, did not get selected. I thought he did, but Darrell Henderson did. And hey, I am really curious just to get your guys' gauge on where you were targeting or how you were viewing Darrell Henderson. If you think the Sony Michel move has a big impact on you wanting to draft him, or if you think you're just getting him at a better discounted price or not. But nonetheless, let me know in the comments down below how you guys feel about the whole shakeout of the Sony Michel trade for the LA Rams. But nonetheless, let's just keep evaluating things. I think we have a lot of good players we can select as Lamar Jackson is taken off the board. So 6 more picks until we select, and now 5 more picks as we now see that of Kyler Murray taken. So with that selection of Mike Davis off the board, we're definitely going to be targeting Kareem Hunt. I know not everyone's favorite fantasy target, but nonetheless, your RB10 on this season last year. So I think with us being very RB light, he would be a great addition. And I would love to go out and target one of these wide receivers as well. So Deontay Johnson, I think, is probably the best value on the board. And there goes Mark Andrews. So, Sony Michel taken from the LA Rams. Let's go out and let's add Kareem Hunt to this roster. And then I'm going to turn around and try and target that of Deontay Johnson because I believe that he presents that wide receiver 1 value. You guys know that I like a lot of these other guys. Robbie Anderson, a very easy strength of schedule. Jerry Jeudy, someone I've been super high on all offseason in my mock drafts, who has a very easy strength of schedule. But nonetheless, I think that Deontay Johnson's going to give us that best wide receiver 1 strategy. Wide receiver 1 potential. So let's take a look at this team, right? Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce at the quarterback and tight end positions respectively. I think it's just such great firepower to this team that do you even really need to look past those 2 guys, right? And this is where things are a little bit different, right? Our running backs aren't as flashy, but you could argue that we have 2 RB1s still, and Kareem Hunt, not an RB1 by any means, but someone who still presents very similar value. And then we have a wide receiver 1 and that of Deontay Johnson. So this roster is still looking pretty well-rounded overall. But let's go ahead and just start queuing up anyone else we want to add. So Ronald Jones and AB are kind of my top targets, and I think that they should certainly be on more people's draft boards in terms of 2 players you can go out and target from a very, very good offense that's going to put up a lot of points this year. Devontae Smith, I think, is someone who should also be targeted as the potential wide receiver 1 in that Philadelphia Eagles offense. If you're playing in a PPR league, then Naheem Hines is a great selection from a PPR standpoint. So a lot of good value here in these late rounds still left, and this is going to kind of give you the potential to just load up at the running back and wide receiver position. Tyler Boyd sitting here. We've got Raheem Mostert, Melvin Gordon, but nonetheless, still a lot of time until we draft. We still have 9 more selections as we see Deebo Samuel and Brandon Cooks off the board. And nonetheless, we could go out here and look at a quarterback or another tight end if we really wanted to. But I think that Ronald Jones and Antonio Brown are the best players at their positions available. You could argue for Melvin Gordon here as well. And also based off the fact that those Denver Broncos have a very, very easy strength of schedule as we see Russell Wilson and Jamar Chase off the board. Raheem Mostert is still sitting here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below overall about that San Francisco 49ers backfield and who you're potentially viewing in the backfield. I don't know if I'm as sold on Raheem Mostert. I really want to be, but there's a couple other guys in that backfield, and I just don't know who presents the best RB1 value overall. So it's kind of a stay away for me, unfortunately. But nonetheless, a lot of good quarterbacks sitting here. We don't need another quarterback, but would it hurt to add one of these guys to our roster? Probably, because we need some skill position players, right? But some of the value of a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who just got selected, is certainly sitting there. And this may be an example of where we see a little bit of run on the tight end and quarterback position, and it's helping us out as we have some skill position players sitting here that we really want. And like I said, it can benefit you if you already have your quarterback and tight end locked up early. You don't need to worry, as we see a big run on quarterbacks here. Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, and Tom Brady off the board. And then Logan Thomas and Tyler Higbee at the tight end position. And now Jalen Hurts and the Los Angeles Rams defense. So I would say that in this current round, it definitely helped us as we go ahead and select Ronald Jones, and then we're going to turn around and target that of Antonio Brown, who will be our wide receiver too. So, I mean, let me know in the comments down below. Do you guys think that the strategy is worth trying at all? Because I'm starting I think when I just watch these preseason games and just seeing the way that Patty Mahomes plays, I'm like, just imagine your opponent's fear week in and week out if you have Patty Mahomes and Travis Kelce on your team. And still, I mean, I think we've gone out and we've gotten some very, very valuable players here at the wide receiver and running back position. And yeah, I like this roster as it is, right? And we still have a lot of time to draft. So let's go ahead and double check. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, excuse me, 2, 4, yeah, 5. I just wanted to double check. I thought I miscounted. We've got 5 more players to go ahead and draft. So we'll go and scoop my face over, and then yeah, we've got 17 more picks until we draft. I mean, if any of these guys, Raheem Mostert or Melvin Gordon, fall to us, we would certainly go out and get them. I think Gus Edwards or James Conner, even Jamal Williams are worth at least considering at this point. So let's go ahead and see who else we can. I mean, Jarvis Landry's kind of hiding down here. Let's go ahead and just look at the wide receivers because we do need some help at the receiver position. Emmanuel Sanders is sitting here pretty late. John Brown, a guy who I would take if I absolutely had to. Same with that of Nelson Aguilar. I mean, I can tell you that Cole Beasley is a good selection here. We've got Michael Thomas, someone we could stash away. Marquise Callaway is someone who's moving pretty high up on my personal draft boards as a sleeper selection. But nonetheless, Corey Davis and Mike Williams, as well as Devontae Smith and Will Fuller. And we'll go ahead and add Michael Gallup, and I guess Tyler Boyd, why not? And DJ Chark, right? These are the guys that we want. All the guys sitting right here. Tyler Boyd, Michael Gallup, and all those other guys I just mentioned. Let's go ahead and double check the running back rooms. Michael Carter, probably a guy that we could go out and target with. I would add Kenyon Drake, but we're going to ride the Josh Jacobs train all the way here and see if we can't. We don't want to necessarily stack both of those guys, but if it comes down to it, we will. Then we'll know we have the Raiders' backfield locked up nonetheless. So let's go ahead and just monitor how this 9th round ends with the selection of James Conner. Now we'll move on into the 10th round overall. All right, 8 more selections until we pick. As we see, a lot of the guys I wanted to draft off the board. So Corey Davis and Michael Gallup are off the board. Melvin Gordon still sitting here, but we have 7 more selections until we pick. And there goes that of Justin Tucker at the kicker position, so not really affecting us too much. I would really like to get a guy like a Will Fuller, someone who we could stash on our bench but could still present that wide receiver 1 value. Michael Carter is still sitting here at the running back position. Devontae Smith is sitting here, Mike Williams. So there's a lot of good players sitting here, and I think nonetheless we're going to get 2 very valuable players as Michael Thomas is selected. And I'm telling you, I don't have any problem selecting Melvin Gordon here when we're looking at the Broncos' strength of schedule. I think it would actually be a pretty nice addition overall to this team. But we are looking pretty good at the running back position nonetheless. So I think that the best move here is to go out and probably go double receiver with a guy like Will Fuller, and we'll just add him to this squad, right? I think we're going to miss out at the running back position. I don't think we're going to be able to get a guy like Michael Carter, right? Um, it's a tough decision, right? But I think we need the depth at the receiver position. But Melvin Gordon still sitting here is looking like probably the best overall pick. But we only have 3 receivers on this team. So, and there goes Melvin Gordon. So that makes it a little bit easier, right? But nonetheless, I mean, Devontae Smith, DJ Chark, and Michael Carter are kind of the best selections, right? And that of Mike Williams as well. So it's really your pick, right? I mean, all these guys are going to be good selections. But let's go ahead and let's just stick to our method and let's stay RB heavy because my thought process here is by the time we draft again, we'll be lucky if Naheem Hines is sitting there, but there's absolutely nobody left at the running back position after that of Naheem Hines, in my personal opinion. I mean, J.D. McKissic's the only other player that is that I would consider. There's just nobody left here, right? So I like that selection of Michael Carter, who I think will get most of the touches in that backfield, right? But nonetheless, now we definitely need to take a close look at not only the receiver position, but let's keep in mind what other tight ends are available. Most leagues are going to let you flex a tight end at this point. So I like the value of Mike Gesicki. Irv Smith Jr. looked pretty all right in that preseason action against the Chiefs. So I haven't been very high on Irv Smith, but I'm starting to at least kind of consider him, right? So we would love to go out and be able to get a Mike Williams or a DJ Chark when we select again, but very unlikely with 16 more selections to go. And Jarvis Landry is sitting here, who I think presents pretty good value at this point in the draft at the receiver position. Darnell Mooney sitting here, Marquise Brown, Nicole Hardman, Jacoby Myers. It's interesting they've got Jacoby Myers looking at 1,000 receiving yards. I guess that could happen. Michael Pittman. Jalen Waddle is looking like a pretty good value for us to go ahead and mark up, as well as Marquise Callaway. So would have loved to get Corey Davis on this squad. I think that would have added some pretty good value. But as you start to get down in these receivers, there's really not a lot of great names, and I don't think we're going to have to reach too far for like a guy like that of Tim Patrick. But nonetheless, let's just go ahead and keep evaluating things as we now see Mike Williams being selected as the top-rated player on the board. And like I said, we would like to be able to go out, and basically my next targets are going to be that of Naheem Hines and Jarvis Landry, and that of Mike Gesicki as well, as I think he presents pretty good tight end value, pretty much arguably a wide receiver 1 value. Not maybe more like a wide receiver 2 or 3, right? A little bit lesser numbers overall, but we will just keep evaluating things here as Baltimore Ravens defense is taken off the clock, or off the board that is, and we will just keep on monitoring. Really nothing else we can do other than keep in mind who's on our queue here. And these are really our guys, right? And I think a lot of them are going to be selected before the next time we pick. So we're really just looking to fill out the running back and receiver positions. I will mention with that selection of Trey Lance that just happened, I mean, going out and selecting Patrick Mahomes earlier, it's definitely something you need to consider, is going out and getting one of these rookie quarterbacks later on to give you some more depth. And you're kind of probably going to be looking to take a QB very late in your draft if you do go out and get a quarterback in the second round like Patrick Mahomes, right? So I think it's a good opportunity to get one of those rookie quarterbacks like a Trevor Lawrence, like a Trey Lance, like a Justin Fields, and kind of take a chance on them and let them kind of ride out your bench for most of the year. But yeah, that's the only point I'm trying to make there, is that it's definitely feasible to go out and take a chance on a rookie quarterback if you do get Patty Mahomes or a guy like Josh Allen or Kyler Murray pretty early on. So we saw our guy Mike Gesicki taken. So looking at who's available, I think Naheem Hines is the best selection here, since this is we're planning for a PPR league. Let's go ahead and check who's available, or how many more spots we need to fill. Still have a couple spots to fill, so I'm going to go out and I'm going to take Jarvis Landry here, as our queue got absolutely decimated. And I think it's possible that one of these other guys could fall to us. Let's see where they're kind of sitting on the Yeah, I mean, Jalen Waddle as well as Marquise Callaway look like pretty good selections, and I think it's possible that those guys will fall to us. So, yeah, why not take a rookie quarterback like I was just talking about and add another quarterback to this roster? And I'm pressing all the wrong buttons, but that's okay. And yeah, now we have someone to play for our bye week. And if you have any faith in Trevor Lawrence being the next Justin Herbert in the NFL, then I think we did all right here. So, but nonetheless, we will need to target another receiver. And I'm telling you, Marquise Callaway is my guy here. So we will wait 20 more selections and see if he gets drafted or not. All right, so we've seen a lot more players taken, just, I mean, all types of skill position players, defenses, tight ends taken. So let's just go ahead and see. I mean, Marquise Callaway is looking like he can potentially fall to us. I mean, I really think that this is your wide receiver one at the moment for the Saints, right? I think that Traquan Smith is more of a speedster guy, more of a number two type receiver. And Jameis Winston has shown some chemistry with Marquise Callaway. I think this guy is going to be moving up on a lot of draft boards come closer and closer to week one. So I'm happy to go out and target him here. If he does get selected, then I'd probably go with like a Nelson Aguilar, Cole Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders, or even a John Brown. But this is a very thin wide receiver roster that we've put together here. We're banking on having three running backs get us a lot of points each week, and then Travis Kelce and Patty Mahomes absolutely leading this team. But I mean, I will say that it seems like year in and year out, the most wide receivers appear on the waiver wire. You could argue that some good running backs are going to come up on the waiver wire as well, but year in and year out, it's the quarterback and tight end position that are the thinnest. I mean, outside the running back position to some degree. I mean, really within your drafts, you see the running back position be the thinnest, but during the regular season on the waiver wire, you see a couple good running backs come up throughout the year, mainly due to injuries, right? So, nonetheless, let's go ahead and add Marquise Callaway to this team. And yeah, I like the way that this team turned out. I mean, and even with, the times we were selecting guys like Ronald Jones and Kareem Hunt, Michael Carter, Naheem Hines, and even Trevor Lawrence, keep in mind that we could have added some more receivers or different receivers to this team, but I wanted more depth at the running back position. I think we got some really valuable players in this draft, so I'm pretty happy with it. Let's go ahead and see what defense we get to target. We know we'll just pick up the Colts or the Pats, or even I mean Miami's sitting here as well. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and get ready to select a defense with the Colts, and let's crack down this roster. As we know, a kicker is going to fall to us. All right, so let's break down the roster, man. At the quarterback position, we've got that Patty Mahomes, who we went and got in the second round, and then we backed him up with that of Trevor Lawrence, who we don't really know how his rookie season is going to play out, but we're able to take a chance, granted that we have the best quarterback in the league on this team. At the tight end position in the first round, with the 11th overall selection, we went out and we got our guy Travis Kelce. So we are feeling very confident at the quarterback and tight end position. Wide receiver is going to be our thinnest area on this roster. We've got Deontay Johnson and Antonio Brown who are going to be leading the charge for us, and hopefully when Will Fuller is able to play not under that suspension any longer, he can come in and be a wide receiver one for us. And then we took a chance on Marquise Callaway, who I've already stated my case for as a wide receiver one in that New Orleans Saints offense. At the running back position, I think we ended up with some pretty good players overall. I mean, we've got James Robinson and Josh Jacobs to kind of lead this team. And then at that flex position, we still got Kareem Hunt and Ronald Jones. So I feel very confident in those four running backs on this squad. But nonetheless, we still went out and we added some depth with that of Michael Carter and Naheem Hines. And I mean, hey, I think this roster turned out pretty good. We know that we got the Colts defense, who are still going to be an elite defense. And then nonetheless, I won't make you guys wait for it, but we're going to go out and we're going to add a kicker with this final selection. So we'll go ahead and cop off the video, man. As always, I thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. I'm sorry if I'm a little bit tired in this one, man. I'm getting ready to leave for the beach with my wife and my mother-in-law. I'm super stoked, but it's been a long week. It's been a stressful week. I have stayed pumping out these videos for you guys, so the very least you can do is just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It truly means the world to myself and my co-host Steven. We just appreciate all the love and support we've gotten over this last month or so. Our drafts are coming up right around the corner. I'm going to be live streaming both my 12-man league and my 20-man league. Steven and I are considering joining 1 or 2 more leagues each this year just to get you guys some more fantasy output. But nonetheless, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, man. We've got plenty of more content throughout the regular season coming, plenty more content in the rest of this offseason / preseason coming to you guys. NFL football is right around the corner. We could not be more excited here at the Catch. Go ahead and drop some comments down below as well with what you thought of this strategy, if you guys are considering this strategy or not. And I feel like I need to just keep talking as we only have 4 more picks, and I know someone out there cares about what kicker we're going to get in this mock draft. Looking at the points scored last year from each position, I would probably target that of Daniel Carlson or Brandon McManus here. And now with 2 more selections, I mean, I wouldn't mind a Robbie Gould or like a Michael Badgley. I don't really care. It's another position, the kicker position, that is where someone valuable will come up on the waiver wire throughout the year as well. Brandon McManus used to be like my go-to guy in fantasy at the kicker position. He seems to always just give you enough points to set you over the edge. But I don't recommend going out and targeting any kickers before your final round of the draft. But don't underestimate how valuable a good kicker can be to your fantasy squad. So I will leave you guys with that, as I had to kind of ramble on to show you my selection of Daniel Carlson, which was very exciting. But as always, I thank you guys so much for watching or listening. You know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment down below. And remember, you saw it here on The Catch.